And now, cool. All right, guys. Let me hold on. This the playback on the actual video. Hold on 1 second. All right, let me pause that. There we go. Cool. All right, yo, guys, what's going on? What's good? This is Joe, Asia Travel Guy, and I'm here with a special guest today. I've known him for about what, maybe 3 years now.
Something like that.
Via YouTube, and I've been following him ever since. And he has been doing some wonderful things in the vegan world in Thailand. So today he's talking about himself, how he got there, what he's doing now, his future plans, all that cool stuff. So let me please welcome my guest today, Mr. the amazing vegan dude, Jason FONGER of Thailand. What's good, man?
Thanks for the intro, Joel, man. That's epic. Thanks so much. Man, it's good. It's good to talk to you. We did a Skype call a few years back, and we connected, but we haven't actually had a chance to like chat by video like this.
Right.
So yeah, man, it's good to reconnect with you, man.
Oh man, it's all good, dude. So yeah, so I'm gonna wait just a minute here so we can get some more people in the chat, because some people kind of pop up randomly sometimes. So it's cool. But guys, throughout this chat, if you have any questions for Jason or myself with Thailand or Japan, please let us know. This is more about Jason today, so please let him know if you have any questions about anything that he does, that he talks about. So yeah, yeah, anyway, to start off, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I've just I went out on the bike this morning. I'm a little bit sunburned. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't put sunscreen on and you go riding in the middle of the day in Thailand. But it was a good ride, a little bit burnt. But yeah, man, I'm great. I'm just I'm here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So I don't know if anybody watching this has ever been to Chiang Mai, but that's where I'm at. And I've been living in Thailand for about 5 years now. So yeah, first 2 years I was in Pak Chong, which is closer to Bangkok. Well, closer, it's like 200 kilometers away from Bangkok. And then now I'm, for the past 2 years, been up in Chiang Mai. And yeah, I love it here, man. I love the lifestyle, laid back, the laid back vibe here up in Chiang Mai, and just amazing cycling, amazing vegan food, good people. So yeah, man, I'm a happy camper up here, and today's just another day, pretty much.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So for those who are interested, because I have a subscriber who's actually in Thailand right now, so I hope he joins up. How did you get the idea to want to go to Thailand in the first place?
So I think that the first seed that was planted in my head, I remember back, I was in like grade 10 back in high school, and I had a friend who went to Thailand just on a trip for, vacation, a couple of weeks. And he came back and he was just talking about how cool it was. And I was kind of like, Thailand, like, what's that? Like, is that where, I was kind of like, is Muay Thai, is that from Thailand or Taiwan, or Tai Chi? Is that Thailand or Thailand? I didn't know.
Right.
So I started like looking into it like a little bit, and that was the first that I'd ever really, heard about it, I guess. And then yeah, fast forward a few years, I started watching Durian Rider's videos, and I remember I would, watch a bunch of his videos where he would just be traveling around with his bicycle, just eating fruit, living in Thailand, just showing how everything was here. And it just sort of really intrigued me. And then there was a festival, this Fruit Winter Festival that actually just finished up, I think it's the fifth year that it's happened now, but I came out for that. Yeah, so it was almost exactly 5 years ago. That was the first time I came to Thailand. And then a few months after that, there was like the Raw Till Floor, Durian Rider Freely Festival that was happening back then. And so those were my first like festival experiences, I guess, in Thailand. But yeah, the first time I came out for that Fruit Winter thing and just met a bunch of people, got a sense of what life was like out here. And then I went back to Canada, and it was like within hours of getting back to Canada that I was just like, I need to like go back there and like live there. And I didn't know that at the time, I didn't think I'd be living here 5 years later. But, I was like, well, I got to go there at least for like a year and teach English and like, check it all out. And then, I just ended up falling in love with it, and I'm still out here. Now I go back to Canada. For the past few years, I've been going back twice a year, once in the summer and then once in the winter during the holidays. But yeah, most of the time, yeah, I'm out here in Thailand.
Cool. All right, we got one guy. Actually, Jason, this is my co-host here. His name is DeAndre. They call him so Black in Japan on YouTube. Great guy. He's a great guy. He's a huge history buff. So like, if you want to ask him almost anything about history, this guy knows it, and he knows like details about stuff. So he's cool. DeAndre, what's going on? Thank you for joining up.
Hey, DeAndre.
Yeah. So, Jason, so, because I remember your first few videos when you started YouTube, because I was a fan of you, I think when you first went to Thailand, I think, and or maybe like a year after you got there. And I know you were talking about teaching in Thailand, and a lot of my channel deals with teaching in Asia. And because, as you know, I used to teach in China and then now in Japan. Taught in Thailand for a little bit. I wanted to know, because there are some people who want to come to Asia and they don't know where they want to go. I talk about Japan a lot, but for Thailand, in case anyone is interested, what are some ways that you can get started teaching in Thailand, and what are the kind of requirements to do that?
Yeah, well, for Thailand, I mean, Thailand's a really, really popular spot for people to come and teach English in Asia for sure. There's a lot of opportunities here for people to come and teach in, whether it's in high schools or in, elementary schools, or in like language schools, or even universities. And it all sort of, what doors are going to be open to you depends a lot on, what country you're from, what your level of education is, and things like that. But I mean, for myself, I had sort of, I guess the basic requirement would be to be a native English speaker, and to have a bachelor's degree. And if you have that, and it doesn't have to be in English, but if you have those two things, if you're a native English speaker and you're from a country that is English is like the first language or one of the main languages, and you've got a bachelor's degree, then you're going to be able to teach at a lot of different places in Thailand. Now, when it comes to finding work and stuff like that, there's a website called ajarn.com. So that's AJARN.com. And that's a great resource, at least to get started on like a job hunt, if you want to just look and see what's sort of available. And it's changing all the time. And there are certain times a year where it's, there's going to be more job openings, like leading into, for the public schools, like for elementary and high schools, they start in May. So in the months leading into May, and they have their break in March and April. So throughout those months, they're really going to be looking to recruit teachers. And then there's also, I think a lot of the universities now have switched to be on the sort of international schedule of starting in September and then ending in, I guess it depends on your program, but yeah, starting in December, as a lot of schools do. So leading into September, that's another time. And then also there's a few times, because then you get the semester breaks and stuff like that. So really, it's really always a good time, because, I mean, maybe some people need a job like immediately right now, but most people, it's sort of a long-term thing where you think about it and you can start looking into jobs ahead of time, and then, allow it to progress naturally. But yeah, ajarn.com is a great site. And yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities out there. So that's how I found my, I worked with a company called Sign Education. I'd really recommend them. I'm pretty sure they're still around, and they basically recruit teachers from all over, and they bring them together and give you training. They give you curriculum like to follow. You don't have to do any of the lesson planning. You just look through the lessons ahead of time and show up and teach, which is really nice. Because I mean, if you get thrown in and you've never taught before and you have to put together lesson plans and all that, that can be pretty it's a big task if you've never done it before, right? So Sign is really nice, or similar agencies like that'll sort of give you some training, give you the curriculum. Like I was just teaching from like PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that, so it was fairly manageable. Pretty minimal work outside of the classroom, so that was really nice. I would recommend going that route, especially if you haven't done any teaching before. I mean, if you have experience and you like to make your own lesson plans, then great, kudos to you. But if not, and you're sort of hesitant and you're not sure if you're going to be able to do it or not, then going with like an agency like that is going to, sort of have your back. That's a really good way to go, in my experience.
Cool, that's awesome, because I know in Japan there's nothing really like that for this country. I mean, they have eikaiwas, which is private schools, and of course each private school has their own training system, which is, I guess, I would say the best way to come to Japan if you never taught. Because if you go into the public school sector, they just throw you to the wolves here. So like, hopefully you had teaching experience so you can handle that. But if not, good luck. That's basically it. But yeah, that's really cool, man. And one more thing about the teaching thing, in Thailand, the TEFL certificate is really important, right?
You know what? That is also important. That's true. I forgot about that. The the TEFL certificate is important because when you're looking to get your work permit in Thailand, that's one of the things they're going to look for. They're going to look for a bachelor's degree at least, and yeah, you're right, like a TEFL certification. Yeah, that's true.
Cool. And I'm only saying that because right now in Japan, you don't need a TEFL certificate right now.
Okay.
Right, but with the 2020 Olympics coming up, and with Japan, they're changing their English system like crazy right now. I'm pretty sure, if my prediction is correct, that the TEFL certificate is going to start being implemented into the requirement system for being a teacher here. So that's why I tell everyone, if they're trying to teach in Japan, just get it just in case, it does happen.
Yeah.
Because Japan does need to catch up with the rest of Asia, and in terms of like English speaking ability. Because it is pretty low, like amongst everyone else. And also, just in case, you might not like Japan, you might want to go to Thailand, you might want to go to China. So at least you have that certificate, so it's an easy transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, today is about you being vegan and the vegan lifestyle. And so first of all, what made you decide to go vegan in the first place?
Man, well, the first thing that got in my head was back when I was about 14 years old, and I read the liner notes to an album by a band called Goldfinger. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. No. Like a punk band from America. I didn't know it at the time, but they're vegan, or I'm not exactly sure. I think most of their members are vegan or something. And I just had this CD, Open Your Eyes is the name of the album, and I was just looking for lyrics. I was just like, oh, I'll check out the liner notes to this album, whatever. And then like the whole liner notes were about animal agriculture and like what goes on in, to what happens to the animals. And I never thought about any of that stuff. And it just sort of blew my mind. And I remember sort of reading that, and I was on vacation at the time with my family and the family of a good friend of mine. We were in the States on like a snowboarding trip, and we were just going out to dinner. So I sort of like read it. I was like, wow, that's crazy, but sort of tried to like put it away somewhere in my mind, I guess, and not think about it too much because it was kind of, rattling stuff. But yeah, we got to the restaurant and I sat down, looked at the menu, ordered a steak, didn't think twice about it. I used to eat steak all the time. And then the steak comes and it's put down in front of me, and instantly I thought of everything that I had just read. And it just like, I literally could not eat the steak. I just couldn't eat it. So that was the first like aha moment. And from that point on, for about 8 months, I couldn't eat meat. Like I didn't even see it as food. And I just, I didn't know anybody else who was vegetarian, or I didn't really make the connection about dairy at that point. So I was still, eating lots of cheese and eggs and whatever. But then eventually, I think about eight months down the road from that, I sort of, it started to fade from my mind, the impact that it had on me, because, I didn't have any community. I didn't have any friends. I wasn't being exposed to like think about this stuff on a regular basis. And so it faded away, and I went back to eating meat for a few years. And then in my second year of university, I got strep throat, and strep throat, I don't know if you've ever had it or if anybody watching has had it. It's just a really, really bad throat infection. And very, very painful to swallow. And I would get that, for basically as long as I can remember, like all throughout my teenage years, I used to get that once or twice a year and just go to the doctor, get on antibiotics, and it would just keep coming back year after year. But in the second year of university, when I got it, I was like, hey, wait a minute here. Like, what's going on? Why do I keep getting this? This sucks. So I just did some research on it. And then I found information online talking about how dairy causes a lot of ear, nose, and throat infections.
Right.
And as soon as I read that, I just all of the ethical stuff that I had caused me to go vegetarian those years back from that all came back. And then it all sort of just, pretty quickly it just came together that like, I want to be vegan. Like I don't want to eat these foods anymore because they're not ethical and they're making me sick. So yeah, that's basically what happened. And then since then I haven't had strep throat. So I mean, there's got to be something to that. And yeah, that was basically what started it all off.
Awesome. Because people who are vegan, I always want to know how they started, because everyone has this kind of cool story that made them like kind of realize why they don't want to eat meat anymore. I would say with me, it was in China my first year, and I went to McDonald's. I had I'm sorry. My first year, I had eaten some I think in China this is popular foods like tomato and egg type soup thing, and it's delicious. But I'm not sure if it was that or some dumplings that I had, because I had those on the same day. And the next day I just got really sick, and I was trying to like, just vomit up something, but it wouldn't come out because I didn't eat that much, So I think it was just like a virus inside. And the first time that first time, the rule is, okay, when you go to China, everyone gets food poisoning at some point. You just have it once, and then you just keep going. I said, cool, whatever. Okay, good. I got it a second time toward the end of my first year in China, and I was like, nah, this is nah. I mean, this was worse than the first, so it was bad. Because the second time I actually had to go to the hospital, and they had to put like a camera down so they could see what was going on. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was bad. So, I was like, you know what? Let me just be vegetarian for a bit. I just don't want to eat any meat. The vegetables here are pretty cheap. Let me just do that. So I did that for a year, right? And I ended up dropping, I think, 20 pounds within that year.
Wow.
So that was cool. And I still was able to keep my muscle mass, because when they say, when you go vegan or vegetarian, you lose a lot of muscle mass. I would say you might maybe lose, maybe a little bit, but for me, I didn't see any real loss at all. I kept everything. So, because I was actually researching, like, when people go vegetarian and vegan, the one thing others worry about is the protein. Like, there's no other vitamin or nutrient that doesn't get worried about. So I was like, okay, what other food has protein? And like, there's tons. So it's cool. You got beans, you got chia seeds, you have like even some fruits and vegetables have protein. Like, it's all good. It's tons of it. So
yeah, man. Actually, every food has whole plant food has all the essential amino acids.
Protein, yeah. So that's awesome. And then when I found out, I was just like, whoa, like, okay. Then I want to research, okay, why do we have to drink milk so much? Why do we have to eat cheese so much? Why are they pushing this so much? And then it's just like, okay, yeah. There was a book, I forgot what it's called. It's like this health book, and what they were saying was that all diseases are able to function through the body properly as long as there's like toxic mucus in the body, and mucus is really formed from like dairy products, milk and cheese and all this stuff. Basically stuff that's not natural to the human body. Yeah, man. So when I read that and just went on a whole year of just strictly fruits, vegetables, maybe bread here and there. I was just like, wow, like my body felt great. Like even like right now, I feel great. I feel wonderful. Like in my house, I'm completely vegan. Outside in Japan, you gotta be vegetarian a little bit, so lose friends.
Right.
But no, like in the house, completely vegan, and like I feel great. Like even when I go to to the restaurant, everything is smooth. Like tons of water, tons of just natural good food. Yeah, I mean, I just feel great. So after the whole thing with China, and then even going to Thailand for a bit, everything is so like all the fruit is so cheap, and the mangoes, oh my god, they're delicious. Like they're just ridiculously sweet. It's awesome. I would say being vegan or even vegetarian in Japan is difficult until you find that there are tons of cheap food places almost everywhere you go in Japan. Because Japan has very expensive fruits and vegetables because everything is imported here. So what's it called? Like you can go to like frozen places, get frozen fruits and vegetables. You can go to like cheap 100 yen convenience stores, bananas, berries, all this stuff is super cheap. And there's tons of ways you can be vegan or vegetarian in Japan. You might have to cook a lot more, but it does force you to be more creative with your food, and it does force you to be, more health conscious. So that's really cool. So I want to ask you, because you're doing all these events in Thailand with veganism, and like, I see you like with like the marathon stuff and the triathlon stuff, and like you're doing so many things. So tell us, what are you doing in Thailand with your time? Because you're doing like I can't keep up with what you're doing, man. You're doing too much.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I'm really into triathlon. That's like, yeah, one of my main focuses the past couple years has been doing these triathlons, and yeah, man. I mean, it started out maybe five or 6 years ago when I started. I did one triathlon, and that was just sort of like doing it to do it, just as a challenge, and sort of getting just into like more of an active lifestyle. Because like when I went vegan, I mean, I played hockey when I was a kid, and like, you know, did some like just riding my bike around the neighborhood, a bit of skateboarding or whatever. But then it's funny because it was about just before I first went vegetarian. So when I was around 13, 14, I stopped playing hockey. Like I played hockey pretty serious up until then. And then I started, you know, getting out of shape and getting into just really sort of bad lifestyle, you know, drinking, you know, smoking weed a lot and like stuff like that. And it was just, yeah, not looking too good in terms of my health. And then when I went vegan, I started to like just get this energy back because I was eating healthier foods and I just felt better and I felt like I wanted to move my body. So I started doing some running, started getting into cycling. And then I read a book by Rich Roll. Do you know Rich Roll? He's got a great podcast. He's like a huge inspiration for me because I've started a podcast recently, and but I read his book, and he had a swimming background, and he's a vegan, and he's done all these crazy, you know, triathlon things. Like he did 5 Ironman distance triathlons on 5 Hawaiian islands in 5 days. That was like the epic 5 thing that he did, which is kind of a crazy thing to read about. So that inspired me to get into swimming. And then yeah, I was like, okay, well, I can do a triathlon now. So I did a triathlon 5 years ago, and then I spent a few years just not really racing, but just like swim, bike, and run. Like that was just like my lifestyle, you know, just having a variety of things that I did. And then, yeah, back in 2017, that was the first year that I said, like, okay, like I've got some pretty good fitness here. I think I want to have a stab at like doing some races. So in 2017, I ended up doing 5 triathlons, and I won, was it 3 of them? I think I won. Yeah, it was 3 of them. So overall won 3 of them. And then in one race, I was the first age grouper. Anyway, so I had some pretty good results, and I was like, well, this is fun. You know, I'm going out, I'm doing races, and you know, I was wearing a triathlon kit that says vegan on it. So when people see me, you know, doing well in these races and they see that I'm vegan, hopefully it makes them think like, oh, okay, so not all vegans are like anemic and like sitting on the couch.
Yeah, right.
That's scrawny, whatever, right? So, and you know, I'm not the only guy doing that. There's heaps of athletes out there that are just absolutely crushing it on a vegan diet. So, but you know, I can do my small part of showing up and hopefully, you know, helping to bust that stereotype a little bit and get people thinking. And that's really like the main motivation for doing triathlon, is to like get out there and show people that you can be fit and healthy as a vegan. And as a matter of fact, it's an advantage. I mean, I really think that it's an advantage. I don't think that I'd be doing sport at all if I hadn't gone vegan. I mean, it really helped just get me connected with the food that I was eating and just feeling better, getting more energy and stuff like that. So now this year, last year, 2018, I did 4 races, had some really good results as well. I did my first half Ironman, so 70.3 distance triathlon in Kanchanaburi, Thailand, and that was back in October. And I was the first amateur athlete at that. So there were the professionals who were faster than me. I'm not a professional. Right. First amateur athlete at that. So I was happy with that. And this year, my goal is to compete at the Half Ironman World Championships in France. So next month, I've got a race in Bang San, which is sort of near Pattaya in Thailand.
Actually, you lived in Bang San for a bit. Okay, yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's the race that hopefully, if I win my age group there, then I'll qualify for the World Champs in France, which is in September. Okay. And yeah, my goal is to just go there and just, you know, have a stab at, you know, seeing where I rank among the best amateur athletes, I guess. And
man, dude, have a great time, man. That sounds freaking awesome, man. Dude, enjoy yourself, man. That sounds great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I love, you know, it's like the racing. The reason I race is for getting the message out there. But really, I mean, why I do triathlon is a lifestyle. It's just like, you know, getting out on your bike, going on epic bike rides, getting into the water. And like, I find I didn't grow up swimming. So swimming is like a real challenge for me. And I enjoy that, like swimming's not like running or cycling where you can just sort of do it and you'll get better. Like you really have to think about, you know, your form and swimming correctly. And it's a different kind of challenge. So
True.
I enjoy the different disciplines, and it keeps it fresh rather than just doing one thing. You know, I got a variety of things that I'm doing, and yeah, you get to meet all kinds of different people doing the different sports. So yeah, I'm really loving the triathlon stuff. And then other than that, you know, I also do vegan activism. So we do the Cube of Truth events, which is basically, it's a form of street activism. So we go out here in Chiang Mai, we go to Taipei Gate. We do it usually twice a month. We go just outside Taipei Gate where they have the walking street. So there's like thousands of people walking by. Okay. And what we do is we just show, we used to use laptops, but now we had a donation from one of the restaurants here in Chiang Mai, Good Souls, which is a great vegan restaurant here. They donated basically 4 big screen TVs. So now we stand, you know, back to back in a cube, and we've got these 4 big screen TVs that are just playing footage of like what happens in animal agriculture. So people are walking by, they see what's going on. It's kind of nasty footage, and we're, you know, half of us are standing around and just basically engaging in conversations with people. So if somebody stops and they're watching the footage, we can talk to them and like start a conversation about like, you know, hey, have you seen this before? Like, do you know what you're seeing here? And sort of lead into a conversation about animal agriculture, and just do our part to like educate people, give them some, you know, cards with resources so that they can learn more. If they want to, you know, go vegan, they're, you know, empowered to do that. Right. So yeah, so I'm doing the vegan activism, and the other main thing that I do is this podcast that I've just started up. I used to do a lot more YouTube. I haven't put out a YouTube video in months because honestly, I'm more passionate about doing the podcast now. I feel like it's really what I want to do. And I think I will do YouTube. I think I will keep doing, you know, YouTube videos, and the podcast has a YouTube channel as well. Okay. But yeah, for right now, it's just this. Yeah, I'm just really passionate about talking to other vegans about like what they're doing and just helping them to get their message out. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing out here. That's the main thing I'm doing.
Cool. I mean, dude, like when you talk about what you're doing, I mean, I absolutely love it, man. It's really cool. I mean, getting out there, staying in shape is cool. I mean, I'm a biker myself, so it's great. Yeah, I mean, I really believe in health, and I think I think it was 2 years ago, no, maybe 3, that I really started to care about, you know, just what happens to like other, you know, life forms, just like, you know, other like cows, chickens, pigs, all that stuff. Because I had stopped eating meat by that point, but I never actually thought about what happens to the animals. So one guy, he showed me a video, and I was like, wow, it's crazy. Because I think, you know, because I had a conversation with, I think, one of my friends, maybe actually last week, and she said she had just came back from China, and she said that she saw people eating dogs, right? And my thing is, if you eat meat, you know, to each his own, it's all good. But like my thing is, because our conversation was about like you love the dogs, but you don't care about the cows, you don't care about the ducks, you know. So yeah. So I was saying, like, why do you care about what they eat? Because you eat your own animals, so what makes it wrong? Or is it just like we think we're better than animals in that way, so we can have a form of favoritism on them for their own lives, you know? Like we can control whether they live or die, you know? So you know, and my only point to her was just like, and I could be wrong, maybe, I don't know, but like I was just like, if you eat meat, cool, eat the meat, but treat all animals the same. If you eat one, then don't bash anyone else for eating anything else, you know? You know, so like if you're gonna do it, then just do it, but like don't complain about anyone else just because you feel that animal is better than the animal that you eat, you know? You know,
for sure, man. I mean, when we talk about human relations, you know, we could talk about racism. We could favor people of one race over another race for whatever reason. And when we talk about different animals, you know, the I guess equivalent term would be speciesism. So it's like exactly what you're talking about. You know, people who are eating, you know, pigs and cows and chickens, and then they see other people eating dogs. Well, like, why would you look down on those people for eating dogs? What is the difference between those? It's nothing other than just what's normal in our culture, right? We're in the West, we're brought up to think that, okay, dogs and cats, they're our friends, they're pets for whatever reason. And these animals, you know, cows, chickens, sheep, pigs, whatever, those are food animals. And when you get into like, well, why is that? Like, are dogs smarter than pigs? No, actually, pigs are smarter than dogs.
Right.
And, you know, so it's a crazy, crazy thing to think about. And it's definitely something that stumps a lot of people when you ask them, okay, well, why is it okay? Like, what is it about a dog that's not okay to eat, but what is it about a pig that is okay to eat? It really stumps people, man.
And a lot, well, most of it's just cultures. It's what we were brought up to do. You know, we just do it because we were brought up to do it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, until I got the information about what vegetarianism or veganism was, I was just like, let me just eat the meat. It tastes good. You know, I get protein. You know, so it's cool. But it's like you get protein literally from everything you eat. You know, so I think, you know, when I actually researched or did some deep research on food and even why the education industry pushes all these foods on us, what's it called? Let's see, Asian travel samosa. Samosa is good. Okay, so anyways, like samosa is this Indian food. It's just like potato and like mixed veggies and all that stuff. It's delicious. Anyway, so what's
love me some vegan samosas, man.
Dude, don't even shut up, Jason. I'm so hungry, dude. I just had Indian food last night. It was so good. Anyway, so yeah, so like I did some research on like the what's it called? The reason of why our education system, especially in school when we're younger, on why they push like milk on us so much, on why they push, you know, eating all these meats and cheeses. And it's like, you know, when I did the research on what these foods did to the body versus what fruits and vegetables do, it's like, yo, I mean, fruits and vegetables, they just clear you out, man. It just goes straight through. And the meat can actually stay in your body for a while. So it's like, I mean, you know, it's better. I mean, and even if you want to get the frozen kind is cheap and it's good. And it's wonderful, you know. So I don't know. It's just being vegetarian. I mean, and even vegan for myself is wonderful, man. It really is great. I feel good. And I think one thing, even like my cousins were worried about is just the muscle. Man, I said, dude, just keep on eating the greens. You keep your muscle, dude. I promise you'll keep your muscle, man. Like we got the same grandmother. You'll keep your muscle. we are not that damn, like we are not that far apart. But
I wanted to say on that point, actually, you know, a lot of people, when they cut out like dairy, for example, or like a lot of people going to the gym, right? They're having like whey powder and stuff like that. That stuff, a lot of it puffs you up, man. It just puffs you up. It makes you puffy. And then when you get off of it, you know, you lose some of that puffiness, and people might think, oh, I'm losing muscle mass, but actually no, you're just losing that like puffiness, that inflammation from, and in a lot of cases, water retention, things like that from the whey protein and the dairy and all of that. So that's one thing. And another thing is when people go vegan or even vegetarian, but especially vegan, you know, you think of how many calories are in a plate, you know, this big, if you've got, you know, meat and cheese on that plate, and then think about how many calories are in a plate of the same size with fruit and vegetables. And you're talking like drastic reduction in how many calories you're taking in. So the biggest mistake people make when they go vegan is they don't eat enough calories, because they're looking at the size of the food that they're eating, and they're eating roughly the same size of food, the same volume, but the caloric content is so much lower. And that's why you get, whenever people go vegan and they say, oh, I tried the vegan thing and I lost my energy. My body was craving protein. Yeah, you lost energy not because you're craving protein, but because you're just not getting enough calories. It's easy to go from eating 3,000 calories on an omnivorous diet to literally like less than 1,000 calories. I've seen many people do that. And then they wonder where all their energy went, and they think, oh, it must be the protein. It's like, no, it's not the protein, man. You just got to eat more food. Like, put your food into Chronometer and actually measure how many calories you're eating in a day, so that you can get an idea, like for the first few weeks at least, of how many calories you're taking in. Because if you did that, if you go from 3,000 calories, or if you're, you know, going to the gym a lot, maybe you're eating 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, and you go down to like 1,000 or 2,000 calories a day, and you start losing mass. Well, duh, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know even like right now, I'm not sure if you saw me before, like, but like I drastically lost weight, and then I got, because my size now is normal to me now, because I've been this way for about a year. But when I first got to this size, I'm like, yo, I'm shrinking, man. What the hell, I'm shrinking. But like, yeah. So what you're saying is completely true, because when you do get off of the meat and off of the really bad like acidic foods, like yeah, your body starts losing all of the toxicity that came with that, and I thought I thought I was literally shrinking. I was like, this is weird, man. I've never been this small before, man. So, but you actually get to see like your true body size, because when I was eating a lot of like just meat and just unhealthy food in general, like I was like my muscles looked bigger, like they were like literally like this big, but I found out that wasn't just muscle, that was fat, and that was also like other crap in that arm. So I was like, whoa, what's good, brother Nubian? Hello. But yeah, so I was shrinking and I got nervous, and that's why I see my abs. I'm like, whoa, I got abs. What? So it's cool, So because I had always done crunches and all kind of ab work, but you can never see it because the more you work out with fat on top of that, it just pushes the fat out, So yeah,
man. What do they say? They say abs are built in the gym and revealed in the kitchen.
That is true. Oh, hey, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, man. So check it out. What are some of your future goals for whatever you do? Because I am going to start checking out your podcast. And I hope that I can have you on here at a later point. Because wait, so on your podcast, are you going to have different people on there as well?
Yeah, for sure. So I've already done 6 episodes of the podcast. So the first episode is just me, and I'm just talking about what the podcast is going to be, what the vision is for it. It's only about 20 minutes long, just a little monologue there. But then the next episodes, they're all with guests. So episode 2 is with David Banana, who's a German YouTuber. He's also a triathlete. He's got a background, like he's struggled with disordered eating and self-harm in the past. So yeah, we go pretty deep into like his journey on how he went vegan and overcame those issues. The next episode was with Durian Rider. I did an interview with Durian Rider, got his story.
He is so damn sarcastic.
he's a character, man. It was a good episode. We talked about lots of stuff that I don't think he's really talked about that much. So that was interesting to get some insight on him. And he's been a really he's helped me a lot, like mentoring me and stuff like that. I know he's a controversial figure, and I'm not saying that I'm backing everything that he's done, but he's helped me a lot. That's for sure. Sure. And the next episode was with that vegan couple, and they're like they do a lot of activism. So we went into like, again, how they went vegan and then what kind of activism they're doing, talked about different forms of vegan activism. And then I had a good friend of mine, Shane Goodhue, he's got a past history with drug and alcohol, substance abuse. And now he's totally turned his life around, went vegan the past couple of years, and he's now done 2 Ironmans. He just did a sub 10-hour Ironman a couple months ago. So yeah, he's got a crazy story, like amazing story, and he's a really, really well-spoken dude. That was a great episode. And then the most recent one I did with my friend Adam do you know Adam Stevens? I feel like you might know him.
I think I've heard that name. Yeah.
He's on Instagram. He does really good photography and videos, and he's gone vegan also the past few years. But we talked about like how he's been able to sort of get out of just working a standard. Like he was teaching at a high school, and he wanted to get out and do more adventure in his life, and so he started getting into photography and travel photography and making videos, and he's been like all over the world to all these beautiful places. And so we just talk about his journey with that and how he ties, veganism into that. So yeah, it's just really interesting people, good conversations. And the goal for that podcast would be to just have some big names and some people that you've never heard of, but just really, really good quality, in-depth conversations just about, just different ways that, like, it's called, name of the podcast, by the way, if anybody wants to check it out, it's called The Vegan Champion Podcast. There we go, the shirt, Vegan Champion Podcast.
Yeah, merch? What?
And it's a funny story, actually. That this shirt is actually from, there's a restaurant here in Chiang Mai, a good friend, Brett Rawlings. Actually, he did a lot of YouTube in the past as well, but he's got 2 restaurants now here in Chiang Mai called Vegan Heaven. And this is one of the shirts that they were selling. And so I bought the shirt, and then like a few months later, I was like, I want to start a podcast. And I'm like, well, the Vegan Champ, that sounds good. So I asked Brett, I'm like, hey man, can I, is that cool if I use that name for the podcast? And so the shirt's actually pre-podcast, but it works. I'm going to eventually get some merch or whatever, but But yeah, that's sort of the vision for the podcast, and it's available like all over the place. You can get on, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's a YouTube channel as well. We do videos for the episodes as well, so you can check out the Vegan Champion podcast on YouTube. So the goals for that is just I'm trying to do weekly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do every single week, but that's sort of the cadence that I want to get into with the podcast.
Sure.
And then the other main goal would be with triathlon. I'd like to go and have a stab at. I mean, I know it's a tall order for sure to win my age group at the World Champs, but that's the target, man. So yeah, that's sort of the main things that I'm working on this year.
Man, the fact that you can even do a triathlon and that you've done them before, that's just a wonderful thing in itself, man. That is a true feat of success. I really admire that, honestly. That's really cool. That's really cool. Because I used to swim. I swam for like 10 years, and like I think the longest I swam at one point just straight through was like 1 mile, which is because in the US we do yards. So like we did, I think it was like 66 lengths there and back. I was like, yo, I think that was like maybe 30 minutes. I was like, wow, that was crazy. Because when you swim for meets at my, I guess, swim club, they want to be sure that you can at least swim a mile so that they know you're not going to tire out during the practice, Yeah. And yeah, we swam for like a mile straight. That was ridiculous. But they said like, okay, if you can get through this, and you can probably do a triathlon, within a year's time, so you're good. Now, honestly, so there are 3 things I want to do before I die. Okay, 1, I do want to do a full out triathlon. I do want to because I have a background in swimming. I love biking, and I can get back and running. So that is awesome. I do want to do a triathlon. At least one. 2, I gotta do skydiving. I gotta face my fear of heights. Just go skydiving. Number 3 would probably be, I would say, my friend, she's probably gonna get me to do this, bungee jumping. That's gonna freak me the fuck out. Like that'd be crazy. But like one thing I do want to do is I don't want to limit myself to like anything. I want to experience what life truly has to offer, man. And one thing that I've noticed in like the past 3 years, even in Japan, is that when you honestly have like the desire and the goal to face your fears head on, even death itself, your life just opens up to you, and the little small things about everyday life mean nothing, so
yeah.
And like, because if you can look like death in the face, literally, like your fear of just like experiencing your deepest, darkest fear straight in the face, these little things in life mean nothing, man.
I love that attitude, man. I love that you've like singled out things that scare you the most, and you're pursuing those things. I really think that's I totally agree with you on that, man.
Oh yeah, man. Because I think this summer, man, I told one of my friends, because she hates swimming and she hates heights. I said, I got to teach her how to swim, because you cannot be in an island surrounded by water and not know how to swim, so like that. Number 2, is you are going with me skydiving. We're going skydiving because you hate heights and I hate heights even more. So yeah, we're doing skydiving. So yeah, so it's going to be real good this summer. I think it's like $500 for skydiving in Tokyo for a day. I gotta do that. That's gonna be awesome. Take the quick course and just go. That's it. So I'm really excited for that. That's
awesome, man. And for the triathlon, man, if you ever want any help preparing or putting together a plan or whatever, just let me know.
I do want to get into a real one, and I do want to do it in Thailand, like a place where it's warm and where like a triathlon seems like most fun in Asia. I think Thailand would be the place. So I'm really looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, man, there's lots of good races here in Thailand. Lots of good races, man. And yeah, I'm more than happy to help put together a training plan for you, whatever. Just let me know.
Awesome, dude, because I don't even care about winning. I just want to do it just to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Let me get into the comments real quick. We got see, Yancy, aka Mr. Squirrel, was good. Saying man, hey. Joe's the only black vegan I know. So it's cool. What's it called?
One sec. I was gonna turn a light on. It's gonna get dark in here.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it hard being vegan in Thailand? Okay, I guess that's for Jason. And I'm scared. Yeah, man, scary, man. But yeah, Jason, the great same man has a question. Is it hard being vegan in Thailand?
I would say in general, no. the thing is, like, if you're, no matter where you are in the world, you're gonna have cities where there's gonna be restaurants, probably more vegan restaurants, and you're gonna have like rural areas where there may not be as many options. So, right. I mean, here in Chiang Mai, like where in Thailand are you talking about? If you're talking about Chiang Mai, no, it is not hard. It's very, 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 very easy to be vegan in Chiang Mai. There's over 100 vegan and vegetarian restaurants here in the city. And no matter where you are in the city, you could probably throw a stone at one. And affordable, lots of affordable ones too. But even in like rural towns in Thailand, like Thai people there's sort of a sect of Buddhism where people live with what's called like a J lifestyle. Like, it's really funny because when I came to Thailand, I asked how to say vegan in Thai, and they said J, and I'm like, really? That's like my nickname, like Jason. People call me Jay. So I'm like, that is like that's fate right there. That's why I need to be in Thailand. But anyway, so there's these J restaurants that are like really cheap food, and even in like small rural towns, there's usually going to be like at least one of those. So that's really helpful. You know, and that's the kind of thing that, I mean, I've got a friend who's vegan in Japan as well. And she says, like, you know, there's nothing like that in Japan. It's a little bit different. So that's one good thing about Thailand, is that even in, you know, smaller towns, it's very likely that you'll have somewhere like that. And even if there isn't a restaurant, like a J restaurant, if you learn to speak a little bit of Thai, you know, you can say that, you know, I want to eat J food. If you say that in Thai at any restaurant, a lot of Thai restaurants, they can make vegan food. Like, they know what you're talking about right away. The only thing is sometimes it's like the term vegan. Like, a lot of people in the world, you say I'm vegan, they'll be like, oh, so that means you can eat eggs, right? Or you can eat milk. Like, they don't really understand what it means. And it's the same thing in Thailand with J. Like, some people will say, oh, so J, like, you can eat eggs. Like, some people say that they eat J and they eat eggs. And it's actually like, it's kind of a complicated topic because there are different levels of J food and whatever. But
right.
But the concept is there. The awareness is kind of there. But yeah, I would say that's sort of the long answer. But the short answer is, yeah, it's pretty easy. But the thing with being vegan is, right, like, if you are dedicated to like if you're really you know, rooted in the reasons that you're vegan, right, then it's not going to be difficult. Like, the difficult thing about being vegan is not finding vegan food, right? Or I don't even know if it's a difficult thing. It's like the most important thing is that you're just really, you really believe in it. Like, if your values are vegan and you don't want to contribute to animal suffering, like for the ethical reasons, you know, it's easy no matter where you go, because there's always going to be rice. There's always going to be, you know, rice and vegetables. There's always going to be an option. It may not be flashy or whatever, but like, I could go, you know, anywhere on the planet, and like, I'm not going to be eating. I mean, you know, there's always that question. Well, what if you're starving, or what if you're on a desert island or a desert?
I hate when people do that. Like, okay, if we're starving, there's nothing else to eat, then maybe. But like, we're going to use the whole animal for like everything it is, so that we won't disrespect it. But
you don't know what you're going to do when you're like, if you're starving to death, you're going to eat another human, right? Like, that's.
I hate when people, man, come on, dude. You know what we mean.
Yeah. So like, yeah, basically. As long as there's plants to sustain me, and I'm not gonna die. Like, and honestly, I would if I was somewhere and I had to skip a meal, or I had to not eat for a day, like literally the only thing I could eat were animal products for like, you know, a day or even several days, I wouldn't eat them. You know, if I'm not gonna die, if I'm not getting to that point, like, I don't want to eat those foods. They don't even really register in my mind as food anymore. Like, when I see, you know, meats and all these different foods, it's really not something that I find appetizing at all, you know, because I'm so connected with like where that comes from. I have such an awareness of what happened to those animals for those, you know, products to be put before me, and it's just not appetizing for me. So
like, because I saw a clip of how they make pork with the pigs, right? I don't want to say anything because it is really gruesome, but like, when I saw what they were doing to these pigs, like, they were literally pulling out their intestines and like everything while they're alive. It was like, whoa! It was like, what? You know, because it isn't talked about in public. And the way they, like, there's a ton of ways that they, you know, kill cows, and none of them are good. You know, it's I mean, they just leave it there to suffer through the pain. It's ridiculous, man. And my thing is just like, and that's why when I have these conversations with people about when they go to China or these other countries and they eat or don't eat certain animals, it's like, yo, like whether they eat this animal or not, they're eating something and the animal had to die in probably some really messed up way. That, you know, none of us or you in general, like would want to see happen before your own eyes, you know. And I would say even to the point where you wouldn't have the guts to actually do it yourself. You wouldn't, because you have to look at the animal in the eye and watch it scream while you're doing it, you know. So, and it's just, my thing is, if you eat meat, then just don't bash anyone else for doing the same thing that you're doing with another animal. That's basically it. Because when I hear about like Japan sometimes, when they do whale hunting, people are saying, let's save the whales, let's save the dolphins. I'm like, you eat meat? What? Come on now. Like my thing is like, if I'm eating a cow or a chicken, right? And you got some people here eating whale. My thing is, no matter how big it is, what kind of animal it is, it had to suffer in some really messed up way. And at the end of the day, what's the real difference between the two animals? What's the real difference in terms of, like, you know, you eating it, you know? So my thing is, if you're gonna do it, then don't complain about anyone else doing it the other way. Me as a vegan, like I'm trying to treat all animals as the same as in just let them be, do what they do. Because I saw one guy, you know, giving birth to a cow, like helping give birth to a cow. I'm like, cows were giving birth before we even came in contact with them. You know, come on now. So I mean, if a cow knows how to walk by the time it gets up, I'm sure they know how to give birth to their own babies. You know, so but I think we just want to meddle in all parts of nature we don't always need to be. You know, so
yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like with these domesticated animals, like they've been domesticated for so long, like talking about cows, right? That we basically have to assist them in procreating, like in certain respects. Like if people say like, well, I mean, it might sound off topic for a little bit, but some people will ask like, so if everybody goes vegan overnight, what's going to happen to all the animals, right? They're just going to take over the world? Well, what's going to happen is we're just going to stop bringing them into existence as the demand goes down, and it's going to happen slowly over time. Because the way that it happens right now is like, yeah, you're basically, collecting bull semen and then artificially impregnating cows to get them pregnant, and it's even they put the female cow onto what they call in the industry a rape rack. And basically shove, like that's the industry term for it, a rape rack. And they basically shove their hands into the cow and insert the bull semen. And so, yeah, we're involved in this like process of them reproducing so that we can, because we're using them as products. Like they're the product. They're not really seen as like even a living, breathing thing so much as just a product, just something on a production line. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about that, and just to think of the ways that we've basically, deprived them of their natural existence, their natural ways of existing. Exactly.
Because when I was in India, just watching like all the cows walking around, I'm just like, these animals are pretty damn chill. These are like they don't do anything. They just eat, walk, and sleep. Mm-hmm. That's it. Don't bother nobody. They just want to chill. I mean, because when they were just walking around, I think they were pulling some carts, some wagons, but that was it. They were just chilling. Indians were were treating them very, very politely and nicely. I'm just like, it's cool. It was like really cool to see cows walking around. But I think we're gonna come to an end pretty soon here. But yo, Jason, man, it was great talking to you, dude.
Great talking to you too, Joel. Thanks for having me on your program here, man. Very cool.
No worries, man. I want to have you on here next time as well. I'm
totally down.
Yeah, final words that you want to say. And I'm going to keep in contact with you whenever I find out a good time for me to actually go to Thailand and get this triathlon thing hammered out. But are there any last words that you just want to tell people about what you do, or just like the vegan lifestyle in general?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, yeah, if you're interested in checking out the podcast, it's on, like I said, most places you can find it where you listen to podcasts. It's just called the Vegan Champion Podcast. If you do check it out, send me. I'm on Instagram as well at the Vegan Champion Podcast, so you can send me a message on there if you do listen and let me know what you think. And as far as the vegan lifestyle goes, then I would just, anybody who's thinking about giving veganism a go, give it a try. If you go to challenge22.com, you can get 22 days of full support. So it's a free challenge where you get a mentor, you can chat with your mentor, chat with dietitians, get recipes, fully supported for those first 22 days. Because, people think that being vegan is so hard. They're like, oh, if I go vegan, like, what am I going to eat? And like, it's just, my life is going to just explode. And you have this idea that it's so difficult, but it's not. I mean, once you get through those first 3 weeks, they say it takes 3 weeks to make a new habit, right? So that's why they do challenge 22, three weeks plus 1 day for good measure. But yeah, once that's why if you sign up for that, you get that support to get through those first 3 weeks. And it's not just what to eat. It's like how to deal with family and friends and, like how to navigate life, doing something that's against the grain. Cause it is, it is going against the grain to say like, hey, I'm not going to be eating these foods anymore that like everybody's eating pretty much. But once you get through those first, few weeks, and as the months and years go by, it's so easy. Like I've been vegan 8 years now, and best decision I ever made. And I don't struggle at all. I would say after the first, probably few months, 6 months or whatever,
Right.
it's just, you don't even think twice about it. And just the feeling of like, because it's like going back to what you were talking about with the people who are saying like, oh, we shouldn't be eating these animals, but like, that's so wrong, but it's normal to eat these animals. It's like there's conflict there. Like there's conflict in the mind of that person, because in, somewhere deep down in their mind, they know that animals are suffering and feeling the pain. It doesn't matter which species it is. Somewhere in there, they know that, but they're trying to sort of, justify it. And there's, I think, a lot of inner conflict with people, because most people love animals. Most people look at animals, they don't want to see them suffer. They want to love them. And there's something to be said for like living in alignment with those values. I would argue that everybody has that value, that maybe they don't love animals, like they want to, go and hug them and get all dirty with them, but like, they don't want to see animals suffer. Nobody likes to see a dog screaming in pain, so we all have that value inherently. And then being vegan is just living in alignment with that value. And that feels good. Like that feels really, really good to be able to say like, this is what I believe, and this is how I live. And living in alignment with your values, it's something you can't put a price on. So if anybody's thinking about it, or maybe this talk got you thinking about it, go down that path, maybe try the challenge 22. And yeah, if you want to ask me any questions, just reach out to me on social media. I'm easy to find, Jason Fonger, and I'm happy to help anybody out if anybody's got questions or looking for advice about going vegan. More than happy to help.
Hey man, thank you very much, dude. I think I might try it out just to up the vegan game, because I am in Japan, so I do want to get some more recipes. So that might be cool. Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joel. Great to talk to you, man.
All right, man. You too. I will hit you up later. And guys, thank you all for joining. Those who came through, and those who watched, and those who liked. I guess that's it, man. So have a good night in Thailand, and I will keep in contact with you real soon, all right?
Sweet, man. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, man. I'll see you later, dude.
Peace out.
Yeah.